let's talk about our prove up divorce template. So prove ups are great. We have to do them and they're easy, so that's fun. But they are technical and you want to do it correctly. So we have a checklist here so that whoever in your office is getting you ready or themselves ready, they'll remember everything. One is you want to make sure you have everybody's signature on the decree, the withholding orders, the quadro, anything the court's going to sign at the prove up. You'll want to have drafted prove up questions. Now, most lawyers who've done this a while, we could do it probably without drafting the prove up questions because you're almost just following your pleading. So if you forgot, just go through your pleading and say, have you lived here long enough to have filed here? And so on and so forth. But one valuable reason to draft the questions is not just to aid you, but to aid your client, because you can send them to your client in advance. And remember that this is an easy peasy thing for us, but our clients, it's not. They're finalizing their divorce and they're stressed, and it's very emotional. So I draft the questions where they only have to say yes. They never have to say no. And I lead them through the whole thing. Then they don't have to remember very much, and I provide the questions in advance, and that really helps, I think, to calm them down a little bit. Bring a check. So you're going to be paying for certified copies, most likely. It's nice to have a certified copy for both parties so that they need to do any banking or anything else that requires a certified copy. They have one, and they're going to charge you for that. So it's smart to have a check. I have on our checklist to tell the client where to go and meet the lawyer. So my staff remembers to tell them that. Or I remember to tell them that. The courthouse is familiar to us, but not as familiar to them. So where in the courthouse should they meet you, what time, and tell them that in advance. And I always tell them a little earlier than they really need to be there. Because if they're not familiar, and they're anxious, they may get lost. The parking may not be what they thought if they're a late person anyway. Because, as we know, it's first come, first served basis, and I don't want to not get the prove up done that day. So I tell them a little earlier than is necessary. And then we have a reminder, complete the necessary forms. So an Austin form is going to be required in every case. There may be additional child support forms when child support's involved. So you want to make sure you have those, and so the clerk doesn't look at you afterwards and say, where's your Austin form? I don't know. So it's better to say, right here, filled out. And then you'll want to make 5 copies of anything you're having them sign. So it's almost always going to be a decree, wage withholding order if there's child support involved, maybe a quadro. So you want to have copies of all that. I have remind the lawyer to obtain 2 certified copies so that we're sure we remember to do that. And then every county is different in how they handle the prove ups. So you'll want to be sure to have assessed that if it's not especially if it's not your primary county. Some of them assign certain courts on certain days to do the prove ups. Every court does it every day. But it would be embarrassing, of course, to have your client meet you down there and then find out you can't really do it in the way you thought. So it's better to find that out in advance and be prepared. So that is our checklist for a prove up divorce.